And that actually goes back to Plato's Republic. So it talks about the justice of the soul and the justice of the city. And so
Mm.
so he said, like, so you have all your base desires, right? I want to do this, I want to do that, right? All those things. And that's governed by your strength. It says, no, 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 like, just, we're not going to just like watch pornography and play video games and smoke weed all day. We're going to go to the gym and we're going to get these projects done and we're going to work on this part of our career. And then that's all guided by wisdom. And wisdom needs to be the top of the pyramid. The wisdom says, what's actually best for me and everybody else? And then you use your strength, and then your strength keeps your bases under control.
Welcome to the Reality Therapy Podcast, where the truth will set you free.
Welcome. I'm here today for the second time with Dr. Nathanial Bork, who is a pirate researcher, and we are ready to dig into some analysis of gender and dating and mating and what is going on in contemporary society. So, Doctor, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here again.
So before we started, you were talking about how feminism has impacted the dating market, the mating market. Tell me what your thoughts are around that.
Yeah. So my thoughts are, so this is not true for people who are in like religious conservative communities, right? So like conservative Jews, conservative Christians, conservative Muslims, like that world, so a patriarchy so very much exists, right? You're my daughter, you will follow the rules, you will do what you're told, you'll stay chaste until marriage, you will be loyal to your husband, you will focus your existence on you being a wife and mother, right? Outside of that, though, the feminists largely did smash the patriarchy. They very clearly did, right? So women don't have to become wives and mothers. They can choose careers. They can choose to be polyamorous. They can choose to have whatever they kind of want to do, right? You've opened the door of freedom for them. And then where it gets interesting, right, is then the men are like, wait, the contract's over? Really? All right, well, right, the whole idea of like creating patriarchal society was like, okay, this is not working to create families. This is not working to, create cohesion. We're going to set this up. Women, you're going to stay chaste. You're going to be a good wife and mother. That's going to be your destiny. You don't get any say in the matter. Really, the feminist critique is like, that's to control women. But the more deeper level is, no, that's to control men. Hey, men, do you want to have sex? Do you want to have babies? Do you want to have pleasure? Great. You are going to get an apprenticeship. You're going to get a job. You're going to go make money. You're going to make yourself so wonderfully, good for the community that fathers will be glad to, agree to like have their daughters marry you. And like that's how society ran for a really long time.
Yeah, another aspect is it's hard for civilization to A, be stable and B, kind of advance to certain levels if you don't have that type of marriage arrangement. Because one, you're going to have a large underclass of sexless males who are just going to be constantly causing revolution. And you're also going to have a lot of discontented females who are just basically property in a harem.
Right. I mean, that was sort of the deal, right? So we take like these males who are not top males, they're average guys, and we say, hey, if you do your job even basically enough, we'll find someone for you in the community, right? If you go do your 9 to 5, if you don't commit crime, if you just like if you're an iron worker or a smith of some kind, we'll find you a wife in the community and we'll pair you guys up. But now, right, because women have their choice and they like the top guys, and why wouldn't they? These middle guys are either, they're doing revolutionaries in times past when all you could do is go to the tavern and drink with your buddies. But now, right, we can placate them. Oh, you don't want to compete for women? All right. Here's endless video games and endless pornography, and you can just stay a child forever, essentially. Just get on welfare, and that'll be your food and I keep your calories going. And a lot of males have taken that offer. There's this crazy statistic. 45% of 18 to 25-year-old men have never even approached a woman. And everyone's like, hey, how you doing? Not even that. And it's like, wow, like that's an incredible statistic. Like almost half of young males aren't even like trying to play the game.
What's your explanation for that? Because like this is kind of one of those things that throughout all of human history, not just human history, but like pretty much every mammal and most other species, this is what males do. You approach a female, you do your little dance, fluff your feathers, or like tell a joke if you're a human. Like this is what you do, and we're not doing it anymore. What's happening?
Right. Well, actually, that comes second. The first thing you do as a male, right, is you compete with other males to get to the top of some kind of social dominance hierarchy. And that can be anything, right? That can be, I'm all rich and have oh, God, Andy's fucking shit, right? I've got a Bugatti and I'm a tough guy and I treat people like shit, right? Or it can be, I'm a guitar player and I'm really cool in rock and roll. Or it can be like, I'm a learned professor and I'm the top of my field and I've got 1 trillion publications, right? You find some area to compete in that you're good at, and then you compete against the top, and like the women are like, oh, this is what I'm into, and this guy's one of the top guys in that world. I like that one. So and so they're not even competing because like if all day, every day you're just online playing video games and sexually satisfying yourself with porn, like you're not developing anything that anybody's gonna want. Like you have to have something you're good at or something that makes you stand out or some sort of field that's like your area of excellence. So when you find the women who are into that, you're like, hey, you're into this? I'm a top guy. What do you say?
That's interesting. There's a book by John Gottman. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, the relationship expert. And he tells this story, and like you realize what the story is at the end of it. But it's like this guy, he commands the room. All the other men respect him, like, and the woman swoons over him.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you find out he's the dungeon master in Dungeons and Dragons. So it's like you have a lot of choices from different hierarchies to pursue as a man. Like you just have to be like good at something, basically.
Oh yeah. I'll admit it. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I have played for years. I have a 15-year campaign that's currently on pause, but like, we've been going for years and years and years. It's one of the few places as an adult you can have an imagination and play characters and do all that. And there's a lot of like geeky and nerdy women out there. Like absolutely, like there's geek culture, and a lot of people on both sexes love it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Kind of, we talk about, I've talked about, like, and we've talked about how this is affecting like younger men. Younger men are just like giving up in a lot of ways. So like you said, playing video games, watching pornography, smoking weed, whatever. But a lot of times, like, you have women who are winning at this game. They're making a lot of money, and they're like achieving success in that way, and they're completely unsatisfied because they don't have, like, it feels like an unnatural role to be like the kind of the dominant one.
Yeah, I'm very good with that. Yeah, I mean, some women do like being dominant, like clearly, but I think the
Yeah.
majority, like, they like a partner who is, assertive and dominant, and like, yeah, in my world, here's how it's going to go, and here's what's expected of you. Here's what, here's what you're going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how we're going to handle problems. Because if you create those boundaries and you're very clear and you're very upfront about it, a lot of women will consent to be like, yeah, okay, thank you. Like, give me a structure that I can agree to and make part of my life. And I know exactly what you're expecting from me. And I know what's going to happen, in exchange. And I know that if something goes wrong, here's how you, the man, are going to handle it. And I can trust you to be emotionally mature. You're not going to lash out. You're not going to hit me. You're not going to scream. You're not going to call me names or things like that. So a lot of women like having a partner who is very, stereotypically masculine, who can set boundaries and sort of like lead the team. But women have to trust that. That's actually where it gets really interesting. Because right, a lot of women will do. I did not know this until my 30s. Like I was an idiot. Maybe still am. But a lot of women play like these games, and like in the red pill community, they call them shit tests. And like now, so I'm like, oh wow, they totally do. A lot of times, like women say things like they want to know, like, can you handle this? Can you handle that? What if I poke you here? What if I act disrespectful there? What if I, taunt you? What if I flirt with somebody else in front of you? What are you gonna do about it? Because like they want to know, like, if you're strong enough to, like, stand up to them and set boundaries with them and be firm with them and lead through those situations, they can trust you to protect them, when the bad days come. So they're testing for fitness when they play those games. And that's an entirely rational, reasonable, evolutionary thing to do. If I'm going to trust you to be my man, and I'm going to trust you to protect me and be my person, I need to know that when shit gets bad, you're going to be there for me. You're going to stand up to it. When the glass shatters at 5 a.m. in a breakout, you're the one grabbing the gun and going down there and confronting the threat.
I mean, that's a great, this whole idea that there's like, they're playing games with you and testing you in different ways.
Yeah.
So often to me personally, it feels like I'm playing checkers and the women are playing like three-dimensional chess.
Yeah, it doesn't help. They're typically smarter than we are, and they also, like, they work in networks, and they're also much more attuned to really subtle social cues. Like, actually, one of the areas that I think is really, really interesting is female intra-sex aggression. The way girls fight other girls, like the shit they do to each other is evil, right?
So I just had Dr. Danny Solikowski. Are you familiar with her?
Yeah, I've been watching your stuff.
Yeah. I had her on, and she did the famous hairdresser study, where it's like women, if they feel like competitive, a hairdresser feels competitive against another woman, she'll try to take off more hair to make her less attractive.
Totally believe. I totally believe that. Like, that's right.
Yeah.
So I was at Heterodox a year or two ago, and they had this panel on women. And it was all women scholars, top of the field, people I really admire and look up to. And they were talking. They said, dominance hierarchies in men is a ladder. I am the top guy, right? I'm the second guy. I'm in the team. I'm pretty good. I'm okay. They let me tag along, right? It's very clear who ranks where. And in a group of men, right, different men will be at the top of different parts of things, right? This guy knows computers. This guy knows cars. This guy's, really good at like coaching his friends to, go chase girls. Right? We kind of play different games and we kind of have different rankings. They said for girls, though, it's women, hierarchy is a ladder. Or not a ladder, a circle, a wheel. And so what they do to acquire power is they get more and more spokes in the wheel. And what they do to attack each other is they knock those spokes out. Oh, I'm mad at you. I'm going to end every friendship you have. I'm going to turn the entire group against you. I'm going to isolate you. And, pre-civilizational times, that meant death for them and their children, right? I'm going to turn the whole tribe against you, so you have no one to turn to, so you starve, death, and die. And that's like a lot of women, like, will not be friends with people who are like have different politics. Will not be romantic with them. They're like, no, like, if I associate with you and you associate with this person and that person and the fourth person over is a Trump supporter, now I'm at risk of being seen as a Trump supporter. I can't have that. That's too scary to me. No, like I will only be friends with people who agree with me all the time. That's actually where a lot of the campus speech culture comes from.
Interesting. Wow. That gets into another, I don't even know where we're going with this. So this idea of gendered politics, where in the last few years, women have taken a hard left, men have gone right. And it's like kind of in some ways, gender is a proxy for politics that makes dating so much more complex.
Oh, totally. No, I mean, like that's hilarious. I would not have believed growing up that politics in 2025 would be boys versus girls. It is totally boys versus girls.
Mm.
It's like hilariously boys versus girls. And part of it, if you're having fun about this, right? The Democrats have spent $20 million learning how to talk to men. I'm like, oh my God, was that the funniest thing ever?
And I'm sure when they come out, like the report's going to be like, real men have periods. Just.
Yeah, they spend like so much time like demonizing us and yelling at us and telling us like our masculinity itself is toxic and all this stuff.
We're like zoo animals that they're studying.
Yeah, and it's like we're not even humans. Like the UN report on women. It's like every like organization says we're for sexual equality. It's like I don't think so. I think you want all the good things that men have, and you want none of the bad things that we have.
Mm.
And it's a darker side of the feminine psyche. It's not true of everybody, but a lot of women would really like a world where they get 100% of everything, all the privileges, all the favor, all the supplies, all the resources, and are expected to get zero back. Most women would take that deal if you give it to them and kind of think like they'd like that. And I think a lot of men are like, really? No, 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 no. Like either I'm not going to play the game, like the incels or big cows, or they're going to be like, okay, no, if you're going to get something from me, you're giving something back. Like we will trade, but like I'm not just going to give you endlessly and expect nothing back. Like this is going to be a partnership and a deal, but there's no more. I'll just give you everything and hope for the best.
So what do you make of this kind of return to trad culture, trad wives, things like that? Is this a form of intersexual competition, or is this like competing for mates? Like what's going on here?
I think what it is, a lot of women are like, okay, I tried the sexual revolution, I tried dating, I tried like all this like left wing kind of culture stuff, and like I'm really unhappy. Every guy I meet is either like very beta, weak, submissive, and not very masculine, or they're a player who's gonna like get me into bed and then I won't even see them for breakfast, and that gets really tiring. Men will enjoy them for sex, but there's no offer of commitment, and they get burned out. Like, you know what? Like, I don't like this. This sucks. I want to go back to the old contract. I will be a trad wife. You will get all the things you promised you. I will be a good wife to you. I will be a good mother to your children. I will dedicate myself to you. I will throw myself into the world of the past. But in exchange, like you need to be like an old school guy. Like you have to pay for everything. You have to provide. Burglar breaks in at like 5 o'clock in the morning. You're going to shooting at that person. I expect you to live up to what the old school women got because I want that package. I want that deal back.
Yeah, it seems like, I see women posting pictures of themselves like making sourdough bread and stuff. And this seems like, to me, maybe it's different if they're married, but like a single woman posting pictures of them making bread and making cookies and muffins and stuff, that seems like just overt sexual competition.
Yeah. Hey, fellas, look at me. I'm pretty. I bake, I cook, I'm dressed cleanly. I'm the kind of wife you would want. I will be your ideal mate. Choose me. Right? And the guys are doing the same thing too. It's like, hey, I'm the best at this thing, and I'm top of this thing, and I've got this thing going on. Choose me. And I think what's really been interesting too is right now, because of the internet, most women who are even like mildly attractive can go on, what's that stupid thing? OnlyFans, right? And make pornography and show their body and get, I don't know. They don't get much. Like most of them make like $50 a month or something like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they do get endless attention, right? Even if they're not like going to like the sex side of it. Hey, here's me in a bikini. Hey, here's me in sugar. Here's me out in the like. Even if it's like clean and classy, like they're still getting like infinite attention from like men who are just like logged online. Like, oh, hey, I can't believe men pay for that. I have no idea what's going on there. Pay an OnlyFans girl to like watch her do things. It's like such a weird Valley of the Dolls replica simulcara of like sexual attention and attractive. Like at least like most people when they go to the strip club are like, I know she's not into me. I'm just giving her like $100 to dance on me because like I want to like have a party. At least like that's honestly like what you're doing. But these guys are like, oh, I have a relationship with them. It's like, no, you don't.
No, yeah.
Like what are you doing here?
the word that's coming to mind is simulacrum. Like this is a cheap imitation of like a romantic sexual relationship. You know, as a guy, like I'm going to look at porn and like pretend like I'm actually with a woman, and like a woman posts these pictures of herself and like gets that attention from strangers on the internet, pretends like she's actually being validated. It's like all of our, not all, but like a large part of this like sexual and romantic sphere. It's like a game of pretend.
Yeah. And so I think that definitely drives the trad culture where they're like, okay, this is stupid. This is gross. This is just not working for anybody. Can I just be a husband and a father, please? Can I just be like a wife and a mother, please? Like, can you just like go back to that? Like, I know it's like, there's expectations and maybe it's unfair, but like, at least it works. And at least I'm not like feeling shitty about myself all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're talking to a man, let's say like a man in his teens, and he downloads Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, Coffee Meets Bagel, like he downloads all of them and like swipe, like gets no matches. He's discouraged. He's like, I think I'm just gonna like get really good at Call of Duty and like watch porn and smoke weed. Like I think that's my life because like I don't have any options. What would you tell him?
Okay. So actually, I'll do a confessional here too. So I moved to Arkansas about a year ago. I didn't know anybody. I'm like, I'll try Bumble. So I got on Bumble, and like I had like 3 awkward encounters. I'm like, oh. So I just deleted it. I'm like, you know what? When I've had dating success, I'm like, I'll go find things I like to do and meet people and talk to them in real life, and then invite them to go to fun things. And then I have from that actually, I have a female friend who I do stuff with, and she showed me like her dating profile on Bumble or Tinder or I don't know, whatever these things are. And she's like, here, watch this. She put a picture. It's just her. She's pretty. And, she's in a nice dress. She's not sexualized at all. She's like, watch this. She turns it on. 85 messages from men. And she's like, this is overwhelming. Like, I can't talk to 85 people simultaneously. This is why men be like, hey, you can be like super charming. You have 85 people trying to get her attention and hold her attention while getting gone.
Crazy.
And like, and so with the guys who are playing the dating app game, like now, like, oh, you have to get a professional photographer to make sure you look great because like that will increase the rank by X amount %. And you've got to get this, and you've got to have social. Man, you're like, good Lord, like it's not that hard to find something you're into and just go meet people.
Yeah, this is so why I saw an article the other day where a female, she teamed up with like some kind of influencer, but it was like a female who ran this experiment where she posted photos of like a fairly good looking guy on, I think it was Bumble, and like made an account, a profile, and like just she did it to show like, oh, it's, men are making a big deal out of nothing. It's easier than you think. And she's like getting no matches. Like anytime she matches with somebody, the women won't message her back. And she's like, oh wow, this is what guys go through.
Yeah. No, like the dating app thing, like I do know one of my good friends from high school did meet his future second wife on a dating app. So I guess it does work sometimes. But like, yeah. I tried it for like 1 month and I'm like, this is hell on earth. I'm done. I'm just gonna go find a party or a biker event or some sort of social event or dancing. I love dancing. And I'm just gonna go dance with people and if there's like that chemistry, it's like, hey, would you like to go have fun with me?
Yeah, I mean, I've more recently been shooting my shot in real life. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you get shot blocked,
Yeah.
it happens. But I feel like I'm worried about seeming like a weirdo. It's like, why wouldn't you just like DM me or something? Why would you approach me in real life? I feel like some people look at it that way. No, I'm off the apps. I've been talking to women in real life.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people have this idea of like, why would you approach me in real life? Like, why would you go to my profile? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess it's just online saturation, but yeah, meeting people in real life works way better. First of all, it's a much more authentic experience, right, than text. Like, I like telling jokes and being like funny and, a little bit of a smartass. That does not translate well over text. That's a dead end. But in person, like, they can see my facial features, they can hear the tone of my voice, they can see my body language and how I'm presenting myself. And like, okay, you get those more genuine connections. And yeah, like, they're gonna say no. Like, actually, I have this, a friend from Mauritania. And he's like, you just go to bars. You can go every girl. Like, do you want to sleep with me? Do you want to sleep with me? Do you want to sleep with me? And like, 4 or 5 like throw a drink in his face, get mad. Most of them are like, no, like that's awful. And one person be like, who are you to have that much confidence? I'll give you a shot. So it's yeah. So like,
that reminds me, I used to be in sales, and one of the sales jobs that I had, they said you should average 150 no's for every yes. And I'm guessing like if a guy's like shooting like a similar percentage, like you're gonna get a yes eventually. Just keep shooting your shot,
Yeah. Like, and like, again, like if I want to find like a mate or if I want to find a partner and I ask 20 people and 1 through 19 all tell me to go to hell and number 20 is like, you seem really fun. I'll give you a shot. I win.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And part of like learning how to date and learning how to, do this, you got to go get shot down. You got to shoot your shot and you got to hear no and be like, okay, hey, maybe now's not the time. Thank you for, entertaining the offer. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
I'm wondering if you're very familiar with like the social science literature on what makes people effective in the dating market.
This is more red pill than like academic theory. But it's like, no, it's maintaining freedom and confidence. It's actually saying, no, it's creating a world where it's like, no, you're the man. This is your world. They're choosing to enter it or not, and being very clear about like what that world's going to be like. If you can do that and like hold the conversation and be the one with like sense of power and be like, yeah, and you're very confident, and you don't like follow them around and you don't beg and you don't like cry and you don't do like little, boy shit. If you like act like a man and like maintain that structure and that confidence, a lot of women really like that because they know where they stand with you. They know who you are. They know what kind of a person they're getting or what they're getting themselves into.
So basically like the opposite of the advice we would be getting from like contemporary feminism.
Now, if you're a man and you're following the feminist advice of what to be, you may as well just like do something truly evil, kill yourself and go to hell. Like you are just nothing good is in your future, even slightly. Like women are like, oh, I want you to be vulnerable and nice, and I want you to be supplemental, and I want you to be very sweet and beta like and be my little puppy. It's like, you go down that road, you are in hell.
It's like, if you do that, if you kind of like emasculate yourself and be really nice and everything, it's like they'll give you a little pat on the head and then go out with a guy named Thor.
Yeah. And like this is like one of the saddest things I see. And I see this a lot. Like this really breaks my heart. I see so many men in marriages and relationships and like their woman does not, they don't respect them. They don't seem to even like them all that much. There's no sex going on. Like they're just like the woman's just like absolutely disgusted at him for being, sort of weak and nice and compliant and all that. And you see a lot of these relationships, and they're like, why is he letting her walk all over him? And he's like, well, I don't want to make him mad, and like she's got a point, like I really shouldn't hang out with my friends when I should be spending all of my time with her, and like yeah, I work 60 hours a week and she stays home and we don't have kids, and like I really should be doing all the housework too, because like she has a hard life, and I'm like, I'm gonna get a pistol and we just need to end this. Like that, you should not live like this. This is bad. Don't do that.
I mean, that would seem like a living hell to me, but on like to defend this guy for a second,
Okay.
Like the woman could go on a dating app and be sleeping with someone that night. And like, it could take you years to find someone else, So like, there's a very much an asymmetry in terms of what your options are.
Yeah. No, I mean, it all comes back to the truth. Like, 80% of women like the top 20% of men, right? That's established over and over and over. It's like long before you even think about anything like a serious relationship, be one of the top 20% of the guys. Be someone you're like, you don't respect me and like me, you're not sexually attracted to me. All right, hey, there's the door. I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, this isn't working out. Go be free. Go find somebody else. And I'm gonna go find someone who will be better for me. Thank you. Goodbye. That's what.
So you brought up red pill. Can
Yeah.
you tell me what's your idea? Because it seems like a lot of different stuff around this area, manosphere, incel, MGTOW, red pill, black pill. Like how do you explain that?
All right, so I was very left-wing and very non-masculine, I'll say to it, up until like my 20s and my brains. And I started like getting more and more into it. And then I also got involved in some other things. And then I studied right-wing culture for my PhD. And I really threw myself like every right-wing community I could see. And I got, like, well, first of all, so part of the toxic side of the red pill manosphere is what they took from the pickup artists, right? Here's how you emotionally manipulate women. Here's how you trick them. Here's how you use them, right? Negging is the big one. That shit's kind of gross and awful. And like, you're kind of a snake if you do that shit, in my opinion. But a lot of that stuff is like, no, hey, you want a girl? You want to be successful? Put your mission first. Choose your life mission. Say, I'm this person right now. I'm going to be this person. I'm going to have this life. That's where I'm going. And if anybody wants to come along, great. If not, also fine. I'm at point A and I'm going to point B. There's this great phrase they have, be a train, not a taxi. Right, a taxi follows one around like, can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? Can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? Can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? And women don't respect that because like it's very weak and begging-ish. But train's like, I will be at the station at 1:45. I will be at my destination at 3:30. Are you coming or not? And the women go, I consent to this journey. I wish to join you. Or no, not my thing. Go off. That really works. So if you're a man and you know where you're going from point A to point B, you know what it's going to be like, and you can describe that, and you can tell women straight up, here's what this could be like if you choose yes and consent to yes, and wholly understand that. And here's like no tricks, nothing, shadowy going on, just straight up, going from point A to point B. You can come with me if you choose to. Women like that. They know what they're getting, and they know they've got someone who's not going to buckle. Like, have the first thing in your life should be your life mission. That comes first. And then if you have that, women are like, I want to be a part of that guy's life. Like, that guy's got it together. He knows where he's going. He knows who he's going to be. And I can trust him that know what he's going to do.
It seems like the worst version of the red pill is just kind of a overt hatred of women and kind of a resentment at lack of sexual success. And the best version of the red pill is kind of applied evolutionary psychology. Do you think that's accurate?
I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah, the worst side is like, girls are so awful. They're so mean. I can't believe they're like that. I'm like, no, study evolutionary psychology. They're like that for a very, 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 very good reason. They are playing a very difficult game. It is very hard to be a woman. There's all kinds of shit they have to go through that we don't have to worry about. There's all kinds of games. Or even like the social isolation, the way women kill other women through social isolation. As a guy, I don't need to worry about that. Like, no, that's not something that concerns me. Or women have to be afraid of like rape or molestation or assault. Qualification. Not many women can defeat that many men in any kind of conflict physically. Most men are bigger and stronger. That's a very good reason for them to be, behave the way they do and play the game the way they play it. That makes sense. Like, I have no fault or qualms about like how women play the dating game. Like, they're doing exactly what they should be doing based on where they're standing.
Yeah, I mean, a wise person once told me, it was you. A wise person once told me, you should get out there and lift weights because there's no romance novels about nice guys with good personalities. I think it helps to understand that about kind of female psychology.
Yeah, women know what they want. There's a very strong archetype of like what they're after. They've said it clearly. They want a strong guy. They want to have fun. They want to be cared about. They want someone who can handle them in all the various emotions that they go through. Right? Like they've stated very clearly what they're after. You just have to like live up to that.
Yeah.
Like, Cyndi Lauper fucking spelled it out for us in like 1984. Right? Girls just want to have fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, they told us. They were clear. They can't be much more clear about this.
And part of girls being able to have fun is them feeling secure.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge thing that a lot of guys miss because a lot of women come across as very confident, but there's this kind of perpetual uncertainty about your safety if you're a woman that you don't, like you were saying, you don't experience that most of the time as a man.
Yeah. And they want secure, they want safety, they don't want boring. Boring is awful. They do not go for boring in the slightest. They want fun.
Yeah.
They want fun and exciting. And I think this is actually like so a lot of women will go for the bad boy, right? Mr. Felony, Mr. Awful, crazy but tall and handsome, but total thug. Like, a lot of women will go for that. They're like, oh, this guy treats me like garbage. Like, I want the excitement, but I don't want that. So women like the illusion or like the sense of being like in danger and having adventure and excitement, as long as they know that they're not actually going to be hurt.
Interesting.
But they like feeling all the emotions. They like feeling, afraid and attracted and aroused and excited and happy and, sad and lonely. They like going through all those emotions they have. And their emotional life is much more varied and intense than ours are.
Do you think that there's a pattern of women going for bad boys in their 20s and then settling down to be married to a boring nice guy in their 30s?
Yes. Yeah, you see that everywhere. That is not in your imagination. So let's be fair to the bad guys. They're exciting. They're fun. They commit felonies and don't care about society's rules and shoot people occasionally, right? Like it's a very non-boring life in the suburbs kind of life. But then, of course, that anger turns on them. And then like, oh, Mr. Exciting over there who doesn't follow the law also doesn't mind if he beats the shit out of me and gets drunk, every once in a while. So then for the nice guy, like, oh, I found this nice, safe, sweet man who will never abuse me, who will, he's very gentle, and I never have to worry about him cheating, and I never have to worry about him this, and all the things my other boyfriends did. And he's like, this guy's boring as hell. Like, we're just watching TV every night. Like this, I've only got so much time in my life, and like I'm wasting it with like this loser. And then then that doesn't last either.
So I'm wondering if you could touch on. Are you familiar with the concept of alpha widow?
Yes, and I've definitely seen that in real life. Like,
yeah, a woman like settles down with the boring nice guy who's very stable. He's a good provider, and she's thinking about the bad boy who is so much more exciting. Maybe when he gets out of prison, I could go visit him. Tell me about the alpha widow phenomenon.
Yeah, no, I mean, right, because like when she was with the alpha, and even if he got drunk and did meth and LSD and like beat her up all the time, like she felt really something intense. And she's never going to feel that intensity, you know, with like a nice, sweet guy who respects the law and goes to work and doesn't commit crimes. So like that intense feeling is always going to be there. And she's going to compare her subsequent feelings to that. And that, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
You know, I feel like go ahead.
so the way kind of out of sense, I don't mean to advocate too much for the bad way because like I want to live in a civilization and not be stabbed on the street. And there's this great line in American Sniper where he talks about, you know, the sheepdog, the wolf, the sheep, the sheepdog, and the wolf. Are you familiar with this scene?
No.
We should totally put it up there when we put this podcast up. So it's a great line. He goes, okay, so there's most people are sheep, right? They're not going to stand up for things. They're not going to do very much, right? They're your traditional beta nice guy, you know, dude who's doing his best, but he's not all that interesting. And there's also like the wolves, right? The wolves are the bad boy, the killers, the people who commit crimes, who've got, you know, gang tattoos every which way. They said the ideal male is the sheepdog because you're as big and as strong and as scary and as powerful as the wolf, but you're there to protect. You're not there to steal. You're not there for selfishness. You're there to take care of everybody else. And that is like the ideal form of masculinity, I think. Right? You need to be as big and as bad and as strong and as aggressive as, you know, like the monsters without, you know, being a selfish person like the monsters are.
I love that.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I love
It's
that.
exactly what
Yeah.
we should be guiding as many men towards that as possible.
Well, yeah, for sure. Because I feel like there's this mentality where you're either the bad boy who causes chaos and disruption, or you're kind of the effeminate beta male.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is like you can be like an pro-civilization alpha.
Yeah. Right? Like Jocko Willink is not a criminal. Jocko Willink is not going to hurt you. He's not going to get drunk and beat you up. He's not going to go do that. But that dude is alpha as fuck. Like he's a big, strong, you know, military, he's a Navy SEAL. I was listening to him on a podcast recently. Like that guy's like totally top of his game. And he's as big and as strong and as scary as anybody alive, but he's got it under control. And that actually goes back to Plato's Republic. So it talks about the justice of the soul and the justice of the city. And so so he said, like, so you have all your base desires, right? I want to do this, I want to do that, right? All those things. And that's governed by your strength. It says, no, like, we're not going to just like watch pornography and play video games and smoke weed all day. We're going to go to the gym and we're going to get these projects done and we're going to work on this part of our career. And then that's all guided by wisdom, and wisdom needs to be the top of the pyramid. But wisdom says what's actually best for me and everybody else, and then you use your strength, and then your strength keeps your bases under control. The problem with the wolf, or the beta, the wimp, is they're letting their base desires control them. They're not in charge of themselves, right? The wimp is too scared to go out and talk to girls, or go pursue a career, or take chances. Like, he's just scared of his own shadow. And the wolf has no control either, because the wolf is like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And they just go for it, not caring who they hurt. But, you know, like the ideal, anybody, right, man or woman, has those base desires under control. They're like, no, I know that I feel like I want to do this, but that's not the best thing for me, and that's not the best thing for my people in my world. I'm going to tell you, do some of those urges besides act on them, and I'm going to do the best thing for everybody. And men and women are both equally capable of this. Like, saying, no, like, I know that I have this like desire or this urge, but I'm not going to let it rule over me.
I would love it if we started conceptualizing like Socrates as the greatest alpha male.
Dude, he was. Socrates was so alpha. Like, they're like, we're going to kill you. He's like, all right, do it. Do your thing. Like, I'm going to live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he did. Like, we still talk about him. We still love Socrates.
Just like roll up to a party, be like, hey girl, I'm the smartest one in here because I know that I know nothing.
I think it's in the Republic where it starts off. He's at a drinking party with like all his buddies, and this like rich noble like kidnaps him and his friends, and he just like lays into him for being old and like too old for sex and all this other stuff. Just like starts humiliating this noble right then and there. Like, he straight up did not give a fuck about anything. He didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a general. What do you know about courage, sir? No, that couldn't be it. Nah, what about this? Nah, you know what? How did you become a general if you don't even know what courage is? Or you like walked into a priest, right? Thrasymachus. He's like, do you know what holiness is? Of course I do. I'm a priest. Do you really? And they played this whole game, and then finally, just everybody like any power or any status whatsoever, and he just humiliated all of them. And he kind of goes through all that, and he finally gets like the people on the street. He's like, you know what? The people who are like just working like blue collar jobs, they at least know what they know, right? The chariot maker knows how to make chariots. The horse tamer knows how to tame horses. The sentry knows how to like fight. Like, at least these people know what they're talking about. Everybody else like walks around like thinking they're all smart and like, you know, successful. They don't actually know anything about what they're talking about, and they kill them for it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about like corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods, that was just a front because he just annoyed everybody so much. They're like, all right, we're done with you.
Yeah, because he basically proved everybody who thought they were big and powerful was like a puffed up shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. What could like Platonic or Socratic dialogue teach us about how to go about contemporary dating market?
Well, so like that does come up, right? It's like slightly right. So I've seen like the last 8 years being like more right wing culture, and actually now I'm at a point where I'm hanging out in left wing culture again, trying to kind of balance it out. And you don't want to get like tribalized, like we're the good team and they're the bad team. Like I really don't want to ever be on that side where like, you're just my team good, your team bad. And so I've been spending a lot of time in like more left wing cultures, just to like try and remember, no, these are people, these are individuals, and like making friendships and relationships with people. And sometimes it'll come up with like some part of my politics is not progressive and not, like left wing. And so when I talk about that, if I just came out and said, I am on the right and you're on the left and you're stupid and I'm this and that wouldn't work. That's stupid and awful and degrading. They're like, okay, well, like, why would a white male, I'm actually not entirely white, but why would a mostly white male be attracted to Trump or conservatism or like right wing culture? I don't know. Do you hate women? I do not hate women. Hate minorities? I do not hate minorities. I don't hate anybody. In fact, I think the greatest way out of all this is right the Enlightenment idea of the individual as a foundation. Everyone's an individual first before whatever else they are. When you meet somebody who's got whatever skin color, whatever religious belief, whatever sex, whatever gender identity, great. Before you judge them on any of that or know anything about that, they're an individual who's had their own individual life, who should be judged on their own individual merits. Like that is the best way out of this. So I'm not any of those like horrible things looking at that. Like, why would white men or men in general, which is true, could be going rightward? Like, what do you think's going on here? And like you offer it that way, I don't know. Like, well, how do you describe masculinity on the left? I guess we call it toxic. Yeah. Would you be happy if I called your femininity toxic femininity? If I talked endlessly about you in this negative way, if I just went on and on about how horrible women are and how they're so awful and they're all bad, like, would you find that attractive about me, or would that make you feel good, or would you feel kind of threatened and insulted? I guess I'd be kind of insulted. Like, yeah, look at how you talk about us. Look at how you like describe us. Look at what we put into policy, right? All these things are you're very, very, very anti-male, and you're kind of kicking us around. You're kind of insulting us and being very disrespectful constantly, and you're celebrating like you're being awful towards us. Why would we want to be a part of that? And when you go down that road, they're like, yeah, I can see that. It's like, yeah. Like honestly, like, I was an officer in the Democratic Party in 2016.
That recently, wow.
Yeah, yeah. And like honestly, man,
What changed? Can you tell me about your shift?
so Woke took over the universities, right? So like, that's when I lost my first teaching job, and I loved teaching philosophy. I absolutely adored it. And they came in like, well, in the name of DI, no more failing. You have to pass all the students who whether they do any work. You have to lower the standards. You have to do this. And I'm like, that's awful. So that happened to me, right? I kind of got shot. And then my story showed up in like right wing media. And I'd never paid attention to right wing media, but the Blaze Network had a few stories, and I was on a few magazines. A few people like featured all this, and I was like, okay. Then I got for the PhD in 2017. I'm like, who are these people on the right? Like, I don't know them very well. I was a traditional like left wing, professor. I was an idiot. I was not up to it. I was a fool. I judged people. I said things I shouldn't have said. I was stereotypically that left wing professor. But I started saying, like, no, like, they kind of got some points over here. Like, this is kind of shitty. That people do that. And then, like, as I was over here on the right, like, making friends, I joined Turning Point USA. I also joined the Feminist Fight Club for Men. I joined the two most extreme things I could find on campus. So I'm like, I want to know, like, why we don't get along. Like, what's going on here? But I made, like, a lot of friends on the right. And I was like, some of this does kind of track. And then the left embraced, right, critical race theory. Like, all white people are demons and devils, and they should be destroyed, and we hate them. And I'm like, I don't, I was on the left because I was against racism. I didn't want to, like, recreate it against me. I was like, we're all going to be cool with each other. Like, that was me, like, 90s liberal, like, civil rights. And like, no, we're all going to be non-racist towards each other. Like, that's what I agreed to. And they're like, no, we decided racism is a good thing against white people. I'm not okay with that. And then, right, man, like, the Me Too movement happened. Then you have, like, the feminists, like, all men are toxic. The male gaze is toxic. And I'm like, I'll just blind myself with a fucking knife? Like, what do you want from me here, ladies? Like, this is not okay. So, like, while the left was just, like, really having a field day, hating on white people and men, the right was like, you come over here and join us for dinner. I'm like, well, at least they like me. Like, you might not agree with them on all that much. Like, at least, they're friendly. So, yeah. And what I've actually been doing, actually, when I got to Arkansas, because, like, some of the people I'm spending time with are very progressive and very feminist. They're really nice people. They're very sweet. I like them a lot. But they started hosting dinner parties with me. And I'm like, here's what you can expect under Trump. here's what's going to happen. Here are the dangers. Here's the things that are being way overblown. And then, like if you don't want Trump to if you don't want Vance to follow Trump and have like 12 years of this, you need to start talking to the people who are on the right, not calling them racist, stupid, hillbilly idiots, with their guns and their religion. Like you have to stop that. You have to stop insulting anybody in your life, like family members, friends, coworkers. Stop with that calling them all racist, idiot, redneck, hillbilly things. Like they hate that. The one thing that drives people on the right nuts is the sense that you're on the left and you're looking down your nose at them. That aboveness. I'm like, knock that off. If you want men to come back, and if you want white people to come back, and if you want all this, like, you have to stop looking down your nose at these people. So I'm trying to like work with like people on the left. I'm like, you need to knock these behaviors off, and you need to start being nice to people, even if they're white and even if they're men.
So I'm wondering. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm wondering if we could kind of tie this back into the whole dating market and, like political virtue signaling as a mating courtship display.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, right, so we talked about confidence and how important confidence is. If you say, like, hey, here's my politics and here's why, and you're very confident about it, and you're like, yeah, I've listened to you, I've heard you, I understand your side of the thing. I don't disrespect you. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're less than me. But I am on this side for these reasons. A lot of women who are on the left will be like, well, I don't agree with that. And Trump's kind of a jerk, but okay, like you're not being hateful, right? In my feminist progressive circle, I was told all people who are Trump supporters are hateful bigots who are, this and that. But you're not that. Okay, all right, well, let's give this a shot and see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like on my college campus, like with the book I wrote,
Yeah.
like I have pretty much zero chance of dating because you have to establish, it seems like you let people know with these kind of subtle cues of virtue signaling, you let them know I'm a good mate because I'm intelligent enough to hold the right views and I'm moral enough to hold the right views. And if you kind of deviate from that, you would kind of be separating yourself from the tribe. B, you might be signaling like there's something either behaviorally or genetically like inferior about you because you didn't come to the right conclusions. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I honestly think like why I think really think it's the female fear of isolation of being associated with somebody. But like once you've established like I don't care what once you establish like I don't give a fuck attitude, most women are like, okay, well, all right, like that will overcome that. If you're just authentically yourself, like a lot of people will find that very attractive, even if they don't agree with you.
Yeah. I feel like that probably has more truth to your like typical Democrat voter than like people in grad school. Cause I feel like this is like the high clergy of this religion. I feel like they would not be caught, especially if I was a Trump supporter. I vote third party pretty consistently, but like I feel like that would be a huge hit to your social capital if you were caught dating a Trump supporter.
Yeah. But sometimes you're right. Like that can play off the bad boy vibes as well. Yeah. Like, yeah, because there's like, I don't care what you think. I'm doing what I think.
Can you imagine, like, in 1991 or something, somebody says, like, someday, this is like the George H.W. Bush, like, Chamber of Commerce Republicans, and somebody says, one day voting Republican's going to make you a bad boy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Republican Party has changed so dramatically.
Yeah.
The worst president of my lifetime, and I maintain to this day, was George W. Bush. I did not like George W. Bush. We were at the height of the empire. We were doing great. We'd gone through the 90s. All our things were going well. And we squandered all of it. So he'd go play cowboy in the Middle East. Like, I will never forgive him for that. Like, Trump, the very first thing Trump did was he went after Jeb Bush. And he knocked out the dynasties. And so so the metaphor I've kind of used, like, how we became culture is like, the left took on this very school marmish, Nurse Ratchet, controlling, devouring mother type character. Don't say this, don't say that, don't do this, don't do that. That's right? Just lists of words, like reams of words you were allowed and not allowed to say. And then Trump played the bad boy. He's the bad kid in the back of the class, like scratching his name with a desk with a knife, like smoking a cigarette. It's like, blow it out your ass, lady. And we're like, oh, you're on that guy's team.
It's so weird because Trump has this, like, and the kind of MAGA generally has this kind of bottom up, working class, blue collar, little guy mentality, even if that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Like there's something about that psyche that's there. And Democrats like World Economic Forum, like they're like the elites, but a lot of Democrats still use that little guy language.
Yeah.
Which I think is like really it's kind of a throws you off a little bit.
And a lot of it comes across as disingenuous, right? A lot of it is
Yeah.
like very wealthy, very powerful people on the left in New York City looking down their noses at like, the guy in South Dakota, like, working in oil production, 6 hours a week, like putting his body and life on the line constantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we care about the little guy, but like we don't really kind of want to hang out with the unwashed masses. They're really not our people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and actually, one of the first people who caught onto that was Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols. In 2016,
Huh.
he was spotted with like a MAGA shirt, and and he had some great quote like, "I never thought I'd live to see the day when the conservatives were like the fun, exciting freedom lovers, and the left and the liberals were the cunty people trying to control everybody else's thoughts and words."
Yeah.
Like MAGA became punk rock in a lot of ways. They're like, "Wait, you're gonna tell me what to say, think, or do all day, every day, and try and control me?" No. The answer to that is the middle finger, and Trump at his core is a middle finger. Like that's what he
Yeah.
is.
So, I mean, I have some research. I'm sure you've seen a lot of this type of research where, like, conservatives on average are more attractive, like, conservative men are more masculine, this type of thing. So, put me in the mindset of like a progressive feminist Democrat voting woman where it's like politically you want this one thing, but that just doesn't do anything for you. And so you've got kind of this like fantasy of, again, like the bad boy who's like, their politics, just offend you, but that's what excites you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, totally. And I think that that's there in a lot of ways. Like, there's a fear of social isolation. There's also like one game every woman loves to play is Beauty and the Beast, right? They love that. Oh, the bad boy. I'm so wonderful and pure. He will change his ways for me, right? And that game gets played a lot. So they're willing to say, okay, well, yeah, he's a bad boy now, but I bet the power of my love can tame him and bring him to the right side. And if I get him to see it my way, he will, join me and he will like see the light.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, girls love playing Beauty and the Beast. It's one of their favorite games.
Very interesting.
But think about how affirming that is, right? This wild, carefree beast of a human being who like no one could tame and no power could ever stop. My femininity is what finally like is overpowering and brings the beast, like to become, like down earth, and like the power of love overcomes all.
Here's a question. When the beast becomes civilized, does she lose attraction?
Yes, absolutely.
So, like, we're talking about, I guess, like more short-term dating and mating, but like when you think of like long-term, how do you keep that spark going so that you're a stable, productive member of society, but you also stay attractive to her?
Right, and like, that comes down to long before you're even thinking about a female mate, have a mission and stay on that mission. And she might try and throw you off your mission as a test, or just because like she doesn't like it. Do not let her. Be like, no, I'm at point A, I'm going to point B. You will not distract me, and along the way, we'll have as much fun as you want. And as long as you maintain that sense of like I'm a man on a mission, all the other things flow out of that positive bit. It's like yeah, like, I'm going where I'm going. You're coming or you're not. As long as you maintain that, that keeps the romance alive. Like, yeah, I'm the beast. Maybe I'll tone it down a little bit here and there because, like, yeah, maybe I'm a little scraggly than I should be, or this. Okay, I have a bad habit. I'll tame myself a little bit here if the things like really bother you. But anything that's like core or deep, that's me, and you're accepting it or you're not.
Interesting. So, we've talked about a number of things where there's kind of this breakdown in traditional monogamy, traditional marriage. You've got 80% of women chasing 20% of men. You've got all this stuff. What's the future of this trend in society?
And all the women going far left and all the men going right. Well, I think men were following along for a while, but I think at this point, like a lot of men are like, listen, like you're either joining me on this side or you're going to be okay with me being on this side or there's no deal. And women, I think, are going to have a choice. Like, do I want to, sleep with the enemy? Or maybe like find some compromise, or do I want to grow old alone? And I think that's how they respond to that question will determine a lot about how the rest of their lives go. Because like the truth is, like one of the scariest and hardest and worst things about being a woman is at a certain point, men don't chase you like they used to. At a certain point, it gets difficult to find a mate. And this is actually one of the bigger lies of feminism that I kind of really think needs to be addressed. Is they tell a woman, don't go for a husband first. Spend your 20s partying, having fun, go see all the bad boys. Chase the career, get the degree, and around 30 to 35, then you should start looking for a man. It's like all that 20% of men where like everybody wants, they're not looking for 35-year-olds or 40-year-olds or 45-year-olds. Like they're looking for 20 to 25-year-olds. And you say that's gross and disgusting, you can shame that, but that's not stopping them. Because like they've got the things that women want. And there's not many of them. And so they can ask for that higher price. Like, no, I want someone who's young, who's fertile, who can give me 6, 7, 8 kids. And if you're 35 and older, like that's not what you have to offer anyone. That's a really scary, awful part of the female biological imperative. They've got much less time than men do.
That's interesting. What happens to women if they hit this wall, the biological clock
Yeah.
quits ticking? What I mean, are these your hyper feminists in academia? What happens to these women?
Right. I mean, at that point, right, you're not going to find anybody who wants a family. All family men are off the table. If you're 35, 40, 45, and maybe 35, not so much. You can still have like maybe one or two. But let's say 45 and up, you cannot offer anybody children of their own. Yeah. So you're not going to be going for the top guys who want family. The bad boys are breaking society's rules, so they're going for the younger girls anyway. So you're probably not going to get bad boy. He might take you home from the bar and, have his way with you and then throw you out like trash. But that's going to get old pretty quickly. And then so what they've got to do is either be alone or they've got to settle for like some guy they don't really want to be with and go for like the bottom of the barrel. Or it's a lonely life. Like I know a lot of women like over 40 are like really lonely and like really kind of sad. And like it kind of hit them like, oh, like this didn't work. And the clock only goes one way.
Yeah, it's like your love life becomes a romance novel and a bottle of wine.
Yeah. And you can live with that, or you can always go, yeah, I think you can date some much older guy. Right? If you're 45, 50, you can date someone who's 65, 70. And like, those guys like aren't dating like the 25 and 30-year-old girls. Those guys would be happy for the 45 or 50, when they're 40 to 50s. Because like relatively younger or older is always 20 years in either direction. So I'm 45. So 25, below 25, or 25 and lower is young to me. And 65 and up is old to me. But when I was like 30, that changes. It's always relative to sort of where you are. So if you're a guy,
this is kind of depressing. Like I'm thinking of the black pill, where it's like incels and MGTOWs, and just like the more you talk about this stuff, it's like, gosh, this is distressing. Like, how do you keep from just giving up and throwing in the towel?
No, right? Like this is nature. Most of us don't make it. Most of us don't reproduce. And I think that the positive thing, the positive value of feminism was the making consent like the standard. I like that. Everyone consents to everything that's happening. No one gets taken advantage of. Nothing gets hidden. No abuse of power. Like consent is fantastic. The bad side is like this, like lying to people about what their life's going to be like if they make certain choices. Like that's destructive. Like don't start looking for a good man to settle down with until like your mid-30s. Like life destroying advice. And so for a guy, it's like, no, you're an animal. Yeah, it's rough out there. Civilization is thin veneer over nature, and nature wins. Nature's always going to be more powerful, and nature's not a nice place. Nature is absolutely an abhorrent. To go back to Hobbes, life of man in the state of nature is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. That's your foundational reality: is brutality, aggression, competition, darkness, and pain. Everything you build in your life is to work against that.
That's really interesting. It's like Rousseau, I mean, they call Rousseau the romantic. It's such a romanticized idea of how people are and how the world should be. And I think the realists tend to side with Hobbes. And I think as a Christian, like I side with Hobbes because human nature is like really ugly. Like it's a dark thing. And I think any plan to make society better has to take into account that humans are generally and have the capacity to be really, really bad.
Yeah. Not all the time, but enough.
Yeah.
Actually, so like between like Hobbes and Rousseau is Locke, right? Who gives you Jefferson, who gives you America. He's like, okay, most of us are pretty decent. 85% of us, we can be trusted not to be totally evil most of the time, right? Starve people, put them in bad situations, and make worse choices. But most people are okay most of the time. But you do have that 15%, and those people will wreck the whole thing if you let them. And therefore, you need to guard individual rights. You need to guard the rights you had in a state of nature. And like that's what the government does. The government is not there to replace nature or be over it. It's like, no, we're going to do the nature thing. But because these guys exist out here who are like totally aggressive, totally, selfish, do not mind like mowing through people like, like a lawnmower through grass. We have to have the system to keep them from like overriding the whole thing.
So how, in the year 2025, how do we fix the dating game, the mating market, monogamy? Like, how do we fix that? Because it's clearly in crisis.
It's clearly in crisis. No, I mean, right? I mean, the best thing is like, what the women do is up to them. Like, we're not women. We don't get to speak for them. We don't, we're two guys. But the best thing is like, it gives many of us on the male side of this thing, and like, do not settle. Do not, drop out. Like, compete, get aggressive, get strong, get smart, get educated. Like, go out there and build yourself to be the kind of person that a woman would want. If you build yourself into like one of those top 20 guys, you get it. And don't get comfortable after you get married. Don't get comfortable. Don't get fat and lazy. Don't be like, I made it. I don't have to worry about it. No, never, ever, ever stop being hungry. Every day you get better. Every day you grind. Every day is gym time. Every day is, like getting things done. never, ever, ever stop competing. And if you teach men how to be men, the women will follow, I think. Not all of them, but the top quality guys, like, it's clear that the women want their top quality guys to become top quality at something. Be a great comedian, be a great engineer, be a great doctor, be great at something that people value.
So my final question is, what is something that we're not talking about enough that we should be talking about more?
So this is Christina Hoff Sommers, who I absolutely adore. She wrote this book, The War on Boys and Who Stole Feminism. The education system has absolutely been redesigned to be female-centric and very much to the detriment of boys, and they don't care about boys. Like, oh, well, the boys want recess and they want to play around in roughhouse because they have more energy. Well, we could give them recess, or we could put them all in meth, right? It's like, no, like, that's awful. And what you've seen now is, like, Generation Z and now coming up Generation Alpha, it's like they are 100% aware of, like, the fact that the education system, the left does not like them or care about them or value them in the slightest. And, like, that's why they're going so hardcore over the right. And actually, on one side note, the poor generation that comes after Alpha, what's the Greek letter after Alpha?
Beta?
These poor people. I'm like, oh no. I'm sorry, guys. This has happened by pure luck, but I'm really sorry you got put on that team by the gods.
I wonder if they're going to like start coming up with new names
Yeah, let's
instead.
not call them Generation Beta.
Don't call them betas.
Let's avoid that one. Let's think of something better.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, what is it? Gen Z is kind of like taking on the beta title, like just like with technology addiction and men just like avoiding women like the plague.
Yeah.
Like there's something going on there.
Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, too many of them. And it's like, guys, like, get out. Like, honestly, I know this young lady. She had never been at a single moment of her life where her parents didn't know where she was because of her phone. I'm like, what? And I've met like other young people like, oh yeah, I was never allowed to not have my phone on me and be tracked. I'm like, my parents didn't know where I was most of the time. Like, I was home before nightfall, like around nightfall. Like, we were doing shit we shouldn't have done. We injured ourselves a few times, but like, there's been like no sense of adventure. And you have to teach males, like, no, go out there, have the adventure, come home bloody, like break bones, get scars, compete, fight, challenge each other. Like, we really need to like recreate that for like, at least for the men. Like, do not be safe. Do not like, this is not a zoo. You are not in a zoo. You are in nature, and you've got to learn how to like throw a punch, and you've got to learn how to take a punch. Nothing good happens if you don't know how to fight.
I think this is the essence of Haydn Lukianoff's coddling of the American mind.
Yeah.
Like a few skinned knees give you psychological resilience in the world.
Oh yeah, I've done stupid stuff that's almost killed me a bunch of times. I've gotten in fights, like not so much as an adult, right? Because like typically 45-year-olds don't settle things with fists. But young me was a different story. Yeah. But like, no, like, you have to let young people go out there and get injured. It's not the worst thing to break your arm. I've broken plenty of things. I've had a motorcycle accident. I've almost died a bunch of times. Like, you have to like, not be afraid of death and danger and injury. It's not that bad. It's so much worse to go through life being afraid than it is to go through life occasionally getting really injured.
That's fascinating. This was a fascinating conversation. Dr. Nathanial Bork, love talking to you. Would love to talk to you again anytime.
Absolutely.